Hey, bye, everybody. What's going on? Happy Tuesday. It is happy hour time. I'm about to get some feedback. 1 second. Yeah, oh, maybe not. All right. How's it going, everybody? Another Tuesday, another happy hour. I am Eric, the Humble Malt Muser, and sipping on some Glenmorangie Cadboll Estate to get my palate ready for the night. How's everybody doing? What's up? What's good? Hope everybody's well. So we got some folks in the chat already. Let's say hello. Let's get into this. Mark Stengel's in the house. Mark, what's up, buddy? Patiently waiting. French, always in early. What's up, man? Saying hi. Hey, Whiskey Pilgrim's here too. What's up, buddy? How are things? Nice to see you. Dropping in a line. Hope all is well. Everything is well. We are alive and kicking in this COVID world. Another good Tuesday. Nice to see you, buddy. Hang out, have a dram if it's not too late for yourself. Or maybe you ain't got to work tomorrow. Cool. Good to see everyone. I got a couple things lined up tonight as we get into this. As you know, as always, I'll be joining my good friend Telex the Whiskey Tech at around 9:15 p.m. Eastern tonight. He is going to be talking about Blair Athol, which I have not had, so I'm going to be along for the ride to learn a bit about that. And, of course, hope everybody can join us. As for happy hour tonight, I'm getting things warmed up with, this is the 15-year-old Cadboll Estate Glenmorangie. Basically, the line on this is all the barley comes from their Cadboll Estate. Whatever you want to make of that. It's not a bad whiskey. It's not amazing either. But it's good for getting the palate ready because, as I mentioned in the description, I am actually going to be cracking open a new single malt 18-year-old tonight. This is the Loch Lomond 18-year-old. Interesting thing about this, it is actually the most inexpensive single malt scotch at 18 years old that I've ever seen. I got this for about $62. So I'm not sure what to expect, but I just couldn't turn it down at that price. So to do it justice, I'm actually just going to kick things off right away and throw some of this in the glass, let this rest for about 20 minutes, and then we will get into it and see what's up. If any of y'all have had Loch Lomond or the Loch Lomond 18 in specific, let me know in the chat because I haven't. I just couldn't turn down this great price. So I'm going to crack this open. We'll get some of this poured out. And basically what, like I said, I'm going to do is I'm going to let it rest for about, 15, 20 minutes. So as some wise whiskey folks like to say, a minute in the glass for a year in the cask. Idea being oxidization in the glass is going to help open up that whiskey so it's not tight and restricted and you can get a bit more of the expansive flavor profile that it contains. So especially with older whiskeys, I like to think, 15-year-old or 18-year-olds, I like to leave in the glass for a little while. So we're going to do that right now. We will get back to this a little bit later. This is what we are going to be looking at. This is the Loch Lomond 18. It is non-chill filtered 46%, but it is unlikely to have natural color. So it has probably had a little color added to it, but that's all right. Can't expect perfection from everything, especially for $60, right? Boy, I don't know what to expect from this. All right. So we're going to let that rest for about 20 minutes. We'll see what we get out of it. And of course, we will be visiting our good friend, Mr. Cloudy, the Glen Scotia distillery bottle that we've been doing a little checkup on each week. I do have some updates on this, which I'll share later on in the show. So let's get started. I'm going to get a little bit more of this Glenmorangie in my glass. Mark's in the chat. Looks like we got 6 people on already. Cool. Anybody sipping on anything tonight? What you drinking? Mark said, is that true for blends too? Oh, I'm assuming you're talking about the minute in the glass for the year in the cask. Yeah. Basically, with older whiskeys, I mean, some people will say in principle with any whiskey with an age statement, you do want to let it rest for a little bit, let the oxygen get to it, open up the alcohol a little bit. See what Otherwise, it's usually a little bit tight. It's been sitting in the bottle. It hasn't oxidized too much. Having it in there, you're going to let the oxygen work its magic. It's going to break up some of those alcohol molecules. It's going to open it up. You're going to get a bit more flavor. So some folks like to say the minute in the glass, year in the cask rule. I think that makes total sense to me. So we're going to check it out. And I'm going to let this Loch Lomond sit for about 15, 20 minutes just to make sure we do it justice. Never had it before, so I'm not sure what to expect. I usually don't like rest 12-year-old whiskeys in the glass for a while, but things that are older, something like this Loch Lomond, 18 years old, older than that, I'll usually let it sit, sip something else while it's sitting there in the glass, opening up, especially with a neck pour, and then we'll get to it. So I would say, yeah, with blends as well, especially if they're super aged blends. Pilgrim's still here. What's up, buddy? 2 a.m. here in Sweden. Made a dram, a 41-year-old Macallan from Gordon MacPhail in one of our liqueurs. Disappointing. Wow. It was disappointing? Damn. That's I don't know if that's more disappointing to hear because a 41-year-old Macallan sounds amazing. That's a bummer, man. I can't imagine that was cheap. 41-year-old Macallan. Damn. Well, I'm sure you got some good stuff to help you forget about that. I have seen your channel. I know the stuff you got in your collection. So sorry to hear that, buddy. Matt D's in the house. What up, Matt? Good morning, G10 in the glass over here. Started with Nika from the barrel earlier tonight. Should have done it the other way around. Totally. Yeah, the Glenmorangie G10. I mean, there are a few kind of palate starting single malts better than the Glenmorangie G10. The Glenmorangie G10, interesting story. I don't know if this is still true, but up until a few years ago, it was actually the most sold whiskey in all of Scotland. I don't know if that means it's the most drank whiskey, what they were using it for, but apparently the Scots love themselves some Glenmorangie G10. And honestly, the Glenmorangie G10 is usually one of the first single malts I recommend to folks, particularly because it's not super complex. It's not abrasive in any way. And it's got, it's a quality pour, and it's really inexpensive, sub $40, $40 or less in most places here in the United States. So. Yeah, man, that's a bummer. 41-year-old Macallan. Boy, I can't even imagine what that would have cost. Anyways, this Cadboll Estate. Oh, you're ordering the Glenallachie 15 next week. Nice. Yeah, I actually just did a review of that. That's a good pour. That's a really good pour. And the thing about it is, I won't say it didn't, for me at least, it wasn't quite as good as the very comparable GlenDronach 15 Revival, which is also PX share and sherry. But the thing about it is the Glenallachie, at least here in the States, the Glenallachie 15 is like $20 cheaper for the price. Plus it's a little spicier, a little bit more aggressive. And I'm a big fan of the Glenallachie. You'll enjoy that for sure, buddy. Andrew Page is in the house. What's up, buddy? How's it going? I'm not sure if any of y'all have had this. I'm getting close to finishing this. This is my starter tonight. Glenmorangie, the Cadboll Estate, 15 years. So the interesting thing about this, the entire kind of angle on it is it's all bourbon. It's a 15-year-old, which great that they put an age statement on it. 43%, okay. And their whole thing is that it's from this specific barley that's grown on this estate that they have on their property called the Cadboll Estate. This gets into the whole terroir question that has a lot of opinions about it. Basically, terroir is this concept that, if you don't know, like barleys, depending on where they're sourced, impart different flavor profiles into whiskey, and that you can actually tell the difference, if it's from this farm versus that farm or whatever. Some folks think it's just marketing gibberish and you really can't tell, or it's not significant enough you can tell. Other folks swear by it. So they're kind of going for that with this angle a little bit. This was a competent whiskey. I've clearly put a dent in it, but mostly this is because it's just such a palatable whiskey, easy to drink, not super complicated, A lot of honey, a lot of kind of cereal barley maltiness to it. Bit of fruit, but not super complex. This is, despite being a limited edition and having the 15-year-old age statement, here in the States, this is going in that 75 to 85 range, which I think is probably too expensive for what you're getting out of this. It's just not mind-blowing. But I am a fan of Glenmorangie stuff. They're one of my favorite distilleries. So I had to pick it up. And, you know, you find this cheap enough, grab it. Otherwise, I think I did a review of it. You can check it out too if you wanted more in-depth notes on it. But honestly, this is kind of become my Glenmorangie 10 for the moment. Just kind of sipping on this a little bit as a way to get the palate kind of, you know, woke up and ready for trying some things that are going to be hopefully a little bit better, which we'll find out about this Loch Lomond relatively soon. So that's where I'm at. What's everybody else sipping tonight? Oh, right on. Daniel's in the house. What's up, buddy? Happy Tuesday. How are things? It's got a nice finish. It's got a good body and nice finish. There's just not a lot interesting happening here. Now, maybe some folks who are into the better palate than I do will be like, Eric, you're totally missing it. You can really taste the like subtle barley notes in this that you can't get anywhere else. Maybe, but we'll see. Oh, nice. Daniel coming in hot. Knob Creek single barrel. That's a good pour. Probably, as I think I've said before on this channel, and you've probably heard me say it more than once, Knob Creek single barrel, best value in bourbon. Balancing quality and cost. I don't think you can mess around with it. It's so good and cheap. Usually, what, $40 or so, 9 years, 60% ABV. And then you also get the fact that there's so many store picks of that. I have some 15-year-olds, some 13-year-olds, some 12-year-old Knob Creek single barrels that I got sub $50. You just can't beat it. It's really good stuff. Pilgrim. My parents are big fans of Glenmorangie. I love the Signet. Yeah. The Signet. The Signet is like the outside of their like heavily aged stuff. We're talking 20 or 30 year stuff. The Signet is kind of the pick, or you know, the kind of standout dram from Glenmorangie. Heavy chocolate coffee notes in that one. Really good. It's like probably close to a $200 bottle NAS, but super solid. I haven't had it in a while, and honestly, I've actually never had a whole bottle of it. But I'd be curious if anybody here what folks think on the Signet. It's a good pour. I wouldn't mind getting into that a little bit more. That's a good one. Glad you enjoy that, Pilgrim. Some folks got some good pours. Just after 5 here, not drinking yet. 5? Happy hour starts at 3, bro. Well, I hope you get to enjoy something tonight, my friend. Yeah, the store picks are fantastic. The Knob Creek single barrel store picks, awesome. If you see them, grab them. Even if they're not more aged than 9 years, still worth it. They're great. Andrew Page has got 22-year-old Tormore. Bottle at cast strength, but it's only 45.5. Never heard of Tormore before until I got this for my birthday last month. Boy, I haven't heard of that either. Is it peated? 22 years old. Yeah, you know, when you get older ones like that, I have a Lefroy 25 cast, which is cast strength, that's like 47% or something. I think it's honestly because they barrel it at cast strength, but after 25 years of evaporation, oxidization, it probably does a number on that ABV. Can't say I've heard of Tormore, though. Tell me more. Oh, shit. Al's in the house. What's up, Al? Cheers to you, my friend. Nice to see you. Never heard too much love for Glenmorangie 18, but I love that bottle. Oh, man. I was actually chatting with somebody in a Facebook group about that earlier today. Not the most complex whiskey, but delicious. Glenmorangie 18, I think I gave that a 4 out of 5. That one was really good. Again, it was like the balance of what you get for price. Now, the Glenmorangie 18 isn't one I would pay like $130 for, but in many places I see, you can find that for like 110, 100, sometimes even a little bit like under $100. It's a great pour at that price. I know it's 46% and non-chill filtered natural color, or no, it's chill filtered probably and not natural color. That was one of the first 18-year-olds I had. Again, I'm a Glenmorangie fan, so I picked it up. Haven't had it in probably 2 years. It might be one that I revisit, but I really liked it. I thought it was a totally competent whiskey and had some complexity, has a really nice, sweet finish, great mouthfeel on that. Yeah, man, can't go wrong with that. Lost on Tormore as well. Yeah, tell us more about Tormore, man. This is interesting. Ooh, Whiskey Straight Al's got some classic Lottie. Can't go wrong with the classic. That's a really good whiskey, too. What is that, like 50% ABV? Something like that? It's been a while since I've had that. Yeah. $97. I mean, come on. That's good. Here's the info. Andrew Page has got it. This Tormore is non-peat all bourbon. From what I read, Tormore is used in blends. There's a 14 and a 16, but hard to find. Shit. Okay. And you'd have had me fooled. Anybody else in the chat ever had or heard of Tormore for that matter? I'd be curious, is it like, I'm not really big on the whole region thing, especially like between Speyside and Highland. I don't think there's this huge difference in a lot of cases. But I'd be curious if it tells you like what style it is based on region. I'm going to look that up too. Tormore. Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of them. 12-year-old. There's a Gordon and MacPhail Tormore Discovery I just found. Interesting. Is that an independent bottling? Yeah, I can totally see that. Totally. Is that an indie bottling or is it actually like from the distillery? Oh, yeah. Check this out. 10-year Tormore. Oh, yeah. Looks like it's kind of a European. I'm not seeing it at a lot of American shops. I'm seeing independent bottlings of it. Signatory, Gordon MacPhail. How is it? I'm interested. 22 years old, too. That's awesome. Whiskey Straight Al knows what's up. 50%. It doesn't feel like it. Oh, yeah, never heard of Tormore either. Man, you're coming in with something new, stealing the show. Let us know what's going on, Andrew. Sounds hard to find. Ain't nobody heard of that stuff in this chat. And there's some folks in here who know something about whiskey. Here's somebody that I just saw pop in who might have heard of this. Dram dude, what's up, buddy? Have you ever heard of Tormore? Our good drinking pal here. Andrew Page has got a 22-year-old Tormore that he's sipping on tonight. You ever heard of that stuff before, Dram dude? You might know. Oh, interesting. The bottle's from Glasgow Whiskey Company. Good so far. Very oaky. Lots of vanilla. Okay, yeah, you said it's ex-bourbon and cast strength. 22-year-old cast strength. Man, that sounds interesting. Even Pilgrim's like Tormore? Man, you found something, man. You should have kept this to yourself if it was good. Now everybody's going to go hunting for it. That's awesome, man. Cool. I love learning about new stuff. This is what makes Whiskey Chat so fun. Yeah, I'm going to have to look into this. Like I said, I see a lot of independent bottlings of Tormore, but not anything straight from the distillery. As I kind of figured, Dram dude might know. I've had a couple. Own a bottle of Tormore that's finished in Côte Rote wine barrels. Gordon and MacPhail. Okay. So at least there's one person here that's had Tormore before. In any event, man, cool to learn about this. Like I said, I've never had it before. There's a little more deets on it. 1951. Not a visitor center or open for tours. Oh, all right. A little element of mystery going on to them. Cool. Right on. Well, thanks for this info, buddy. We all just learned a little bit of something. Well, except for Trent, dude, who knew about Tormore. Peter White looks like he's had a Tormore as well. All right. So not everybody's not heard about it. But, all right. So I've had this sit now for just about 20 minutes. Just to bring everybody up to speed. beginning of the show, I cracked open this bottle, which I just got relatively recently. This is the Loch Lomond 18-year-old. It's a single malt Scotch. It is 46% ABV. It is, it's a Highland malt. It is smoothed to perfection. That might not be good news. Here's what the bottle looks like. Now, and it's non-chill filtered. So here's the deal. The reason I cracked this open on the show tonight and why I've been having it sit here in the glass and I'm going to taste it for the first time is because I found this bottle for $60. $60 being the most inexpensive 18-year-old single malt Scotch that I have ever seen. Cheaper than the Tomatin 18 even, which is something I've seen around $75 for a single malt. So what I'm hoping I'm going to experience here is a diamond in the rough. My fear is that it's going to be hot garbage, considering it is 18 years old, but only $60. Obviously, red flags go up, but let's give it a try because I'm not really sure what to expect. So we got this in the glass. Before I sip it, let me just tell you a little bit about what this is all about. It's been around since 1814, which is quite a while. And takes its name from a famous loch in Scotland, which I'm assuming is Loch Lomond. It's distilled in our unique stills. 18-year-old is maturing in the finest oak casks. Blah, blah, blah. Couple notes. Looks like there's a little peat in this. Not sure what it's aged in. Going to assume ex-bourbon only and probably refill bourbon, but I'm not quite sure. It doesn't say much. But the non-chill filtered 46%, 18 years old for $60. I mean, come on. I got to figure this out. I got to see what's going on, right? Tell me, if you saw this sitting on your shelf in your local shop for $60, 18-year-old single malt, 46% non-chill, would you take a flyer on this? Now, I was lucky. $60 is the cheapest I've ever seen it. But here's the thing. I've seen this on average, if I just do a quick look on Wine Searcher, in the 65 to 70 range, which is still the most inexpensive single malt at 18 years I think you can find. So that's the background on Loch Lomond and the 18-year-old. Like I said, I haven't done any research on this outside of this. This is what it looks like. Possibly some sherry in that. I can't tell. Anyways, here goes nothing. All right, let's get into it, y'all. Let me know if any of you guys have had this. Aggressive on the nose. Vanilla, bready, like almost like, what is that? Kind of like pudding? Like a tapioca or vanilla cream kind of pudding thing. It's hard to say. It's actually quite assertive for 46%. There's an alcohol burn on this. So I'm kind of pulling it back. There's some like warm dried fruit notes. Spice too, cinnamon, baking spice. So yeah, really quite a lot happening here on this nose. Apple, green apple. Maybe just a bit of smoke. Oh, the apple note is really, really asserting itself. Legs on this are pretty nice too. Give you one look at that. I don't know if you can see that or not. Pretty good. It's got some viscosity. All right. All in all, pretty decent nose. The only thing that's a little bit odd is, again, this kind of, it's like tapioca pudding. Like that stuff you get in those little plastic cups. But yeah, the green apple is really assertive. Slight spice, cinnamon, clove, a little bit of smoke. Smells not bad. All right, let's give it a taste. Cilantro, y'all. Okay, this is interesting. Pretty light on the palate. Apple, apricot. Big time on the apricot. As it develops, gets spicier, and there is this this is going to sound hilarious, but it's almost like squash or some type of root vegetable herbalness. Pretty sticky. As it kind of goes into the finish, it is very much a like hazelnut, light caramel. It's pretty long finish. It's really hanging on. Alcohol bite was pretty sharp. Hung in there, still hanging in there. A little bit of pepper. All in all, not bad. It's not quite my style. Obviously, this is just one taste. We're going to keep going on this, but yeah, this is interesting. Let's do another sip and then we'll try with water. Yeah, man. It's like root vegetable. Mushroom. Squash is like dominant. And then it kind of goes into, again, like a hazelnut, milk chocolate, apricot, caramel. A lot of interesting things happening here. The peatiness is there. There's a bit of peat. Sharp alcohol edge on it. This is interesting. In all, not bad. It is not I would say this. This is not sweet. That kind of sweet fruitiness that maybe you get. I don't think there's any sherry in this. If it is, it's Oloroso, and it's not very much of it. This one's going to be fun. This is going to be interesting to get into. Based on 2 sips, do I regret buying this for $60? No. I don't regret buying this for $60. I'm not sure if it's this is going to sound fine. I'm not sure if it's good yet. It's not bad, and it's intriguing, which for an 18-year-old at $60 is really, oh wow, I'm getting like a ginger snap. The finish on this hangs on for a long, long time. There's like a ginger snap cookie thing. This is intriguing and beguiling, and honestly, I'm interested in exploring this. It might be off-putting to some folks. There's a little bit of a kind of dank, like, I don't know how I would want to explain this. Again, that kind of root vegetable thing, the like kind of mushroom, that kind of creamy earthiness thing might throw some people off. Pumpkin. If you ever had like a pumpkin beer, you're going to notice some similarities with this. I'm telling you, pumpkin, for real. I've never had any of these things in a single malt. So to the extent that this is interesting at $60 for an 18-year-old, I'm gonna enjoy exploring this. It's not quite my flavor profile, but I can also tell you that I've never had anything quite like this. This is new. So yeah, Loch Lomond. I'll do a full review of this at some point after I kind of get my bearings on it. But yeah, this is interesting. Finish is still hanging on. This is one of the longer finishes I've had on an 18-year-old whiskey. All right. I know it sounds crazy, but pumpkin, man, pumpkin. I'm going to put a bit of water on it. Let's see what happens. And while I get sipping on this, let me catch up with the chat. We got 16 folks in the house. What is up, everybody? Happy Tuesday, Booze Day. Whiskey Straight Al saying $60 is an insane price. I really like the Loch Lomond 12. Yeah, $60. Like I said, cheapest single malt whiskey I've ever found it. That's 18 years old. Stellar value. Yeah, Tomatin 18. Ben would grab it for 18 for that. Yeah. You saw it recently for 80. Oh, interesting. I didn't even know they had NAS stuff. Wow. Nutmeg. Looks like Mark's had a chance to try this before. Daniel says squash is what I look for in an 18. Maybe. To me, it sounds nasty. I hate gourds. Too funny. Mike's in the house. What's up, Mike? $60 for any 18 seems like a chance we're taking. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I mean, like I said, I don't love this just for my personal flavor profile, but like I think it's going to be fun to explore a bit. It's just all in all not a bad whiskey and something quite a bit different than anything I've ever had. Yeah, it's actually gotten more viscous and a little bit smokier with water. Drier too. Interesting. I've had a sample of the Loch Lomond 12 before. Can't remember anything about it, but I'd buy the 18 for 60. Yeah, you really, I mean, it's an 18-year-old whiskey for $60, right? Like, it's, your thinking is the same as mine. It was hard to pass up. Doesn't sound bad. Sure, it's going to get better. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Hey, people. What's up, Emily? How are you? Happy Tuesday. We are just sipping on some Loch Lomond 18, which I just cracked open here. It is the most inexpensive single malt whiskey at 18 years old I have ever found. I found it for about $60. And I see it routinely here from $65 to $75. So figured it was worth a flyer. All in all, not a bad stuff. Thanks for joining us tonight. Glad to see you. Daniel said Master of Malt's got some good notes on it. Interesting. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Yeah, this is going to be one to explore for sure. There we go. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, as you all know, I'll be joining my good friend Telex, the Whiskey Tech, shortly after 9 o'clock tonight for our weekly show. Telex is going to be reviewing a Blair Athol this week. And I've never had a Blair Athol, so much like last week, I'll be learning about a new distillery that I've not had before and encourage everybody to join. As I always do, I will, once he goes live, I'll pop the link in the chat so everybody can head on over and we can join him. I will actually ask him about this Loch Lomond 18 because, to be honest, I'm not sure if he's ever had it either. He might have some notes on it. All right. So I'm going to keep sipping on this for a little bit, and then I do have some updates for y'all on the continuing saga of Mr. Cloudy Glen Scotia distillery bottle. I'll get into that in a few minutes. We got 13 folks in for happy hour. I'm glad you guys are all having a good time. Thanks for joining, as always. This week, Friday, all my reviews obviously come out on Friday. Daniel. And this week I'll be popping my review up of the Glenmorangie Speos. So continuing the Glenmorangie thing, as we were talking about earlier. My review of the Glenmorangie Speos, which is my 99th review, which means next week, Friday, will be Whiskey Review 100. As I mentioned, I'm going to do something really special that I got really lucky to get my hands on, which is the Highland Park 21 years old, the new Highland Park 21. I have not opened it yet. I'm really excited to do it, and I'm getting close to 500 subs. I think I'm at like 100. I'm only 14 subs away from 500. If I get there by this time next week, I will do my 100th review live, and we'll have some chat and fun about that. So we'll see if I get there. If not, I'll just post the video. Loch Lomond sounds interesting, especially at the price. Yeah, I agree. That's exactly what I was thinking. It's not quite like anything I've had before. As I mentioned, not a lot of that sweetness, not much fruitiness at all. Not bad though. $18, had to do it. Daniel says, now on to the real question. How is that Glen Scotia now? Well, we're about to get into that in a few minutes, my friend. I'm going to finish up these last sips of this increasingly delicious Loch Lomond 18. I'm curious about this 12. A lot of people seem to have had this 12. I might have to try and find that one. Peter White, unopened Blair Athol 21 first edition. Ooh, I can only imagine. I'm not familiar, as I said, with Blair Athol's profile, but I mean, a 21-year-old first edition of anything is probably pretty amazing. So we'll be learning a bit about that tonight. I'm not sure how old the Blair Athol that Telex is going to be reviewing is going to be, but I have seen some Blair Athol stuff around my area. It is mostly independent bottlings. In fact, it always is. I think I've seen a Signatory 11 around quite a bit. I didn't pick it up, but because I didn't know much about it, and it was a little bit expensive. But how goes Glenn for science? Yeah. We'll get into that in just a second, because I mean, of course, I'm going to have to taste another one of these. First sip always tastes sour with almost every bottle except really smoky whiskey. Yeah. You know, it's funny you mentioned that. This was a little bit on the sour side as well. What I'm left with is a lot of almond. And the other thing is like you can really taste the new make spirit in this. The more I drink this, the more honestly kind of interesting it gets. This is going to be a fun one to explore. It doesn't quite seem like it's an 18-year-old whiskey. It feels more like it drinks like a 15. But I will say, at $60, $65, a couple more weeks, a little bit of oxygen. I'm going to see what happens with this, but once I get my review up, I can't imagine this is going to get a very low score. This is solid stuff, for sure. All right. Looks like a lot of folks have had this 12. Yeah, I got to grab that. That's what I figured, Peter. I've never seen a Blair Athol like from the distillery released or anything. Okay. Let me just wash this glass out a little bit, and then let's get into our good friend, the cloudy Glen Scotia. So, as you recall, 2 weeks ago, has it been 2 weeks? Okay, so it's been 10 days. We've been going back and forth. There was a universal consensus 2 weeks ago that, like, I need to write Glen Scotia about this whiskey because the distiller, the people that I bought it from, the distributor, the company insisted that this was fine. It's clearly not fine. We've done it, just to recap, we've done a couple weeks where I've left it open for 8 hours without a cap. I've left it open for 24 hours. I finally wrote Glen Scotia to inquire about this stuff. And over the last 10 days, I've been having some back and forth with Janine over at Glen Scotia, who first was like asking me about the laser print on it, which of course doesn't exist because it's a hand-filled distillery bottle. Let me just bring this up. As of 6 days ago, she responded asking, so this is since the last time we talked, she responded asking if it had a seal on it when I ordered it, and then also wanted some more information about the merchant that I bought it from, because she was confused about how I got my hands on a distillery-only bottle when she claims that you can only get these at the distillery. I passed along the information of the people I bought it from, and she said that was extremely helpful, asked for a photo of the label again, specifically the small numbers. We have small numbers like cask number, distillation date, release date. It doesn't say what date it was hand filled on, but there is a signature on it, et cetera, et cetera. This was 5 days ago. I passed along that information in pictures and have heard nothing since. So I don't know if Janine is ghosting me on the Glen Scotia distillery bottle. I have explained the cloudiness. I have explained this black ring at the bottom, which seems to be a sediment of some sort that may or may not be poisonous. I'm not sure. But since we last talked, I mean, obviously last week I mentioned that I had initial contact with Janine at Glen Scotia, which was 10 days ago now. So this has been a 10-day back and forth email, and I have not heard back in 5 days. So I plan on writing her tomorrow to find out if there's any updates. But I'm increasingly of the opinion that something is very wrong here, because she doesn't seem to, it doesn't seem as though people should be selling this. And she's not once mentioned anything specific about the pictures of the whiskey itself. It has always been about numbers and trying to find out what casks it came from and where I bought it. She has not made any direct comments about the dozen or so pictures I've sent of the bottle, of the whiskey inside of it, etc. So my assumption is that she doesn't know for sure whether or not this is safe, and doesn't want to, but also doesn't want to take any like liability or make any statements on it. The folks who I bought it from immediately were like, no, it's totally fine. That cloudiness is fine. So Glen Scotia is being a little skittish. I'm not quite sure why. As you can see, while we go through this continuing, what now it has been 5 weeks, 4 weeks, back and forth about this, you know, this is getting increasingly drank. So since last week, I have not done anything else to this bottle. I've just had the cork on it. It's been sitting here. I haven't tasted it since last week. As you can see, you know, maybe if I put this behind it, this is still as cloudy as all can be. Nothing has changed about this whiskey. I know everybody likes to see how cloudy it is, so there you go. Nothing has changed. So I'm going to continue to try to figure out what I can about this from our friends at Glen Scotia. But in the meantime, that doesn't preclude us from giving it another taste. So now this is 1 month. I believe this is 1 month since I've had this. We're past the neck pour. The funkiness still there, which is to be expected as a Campbelltown. But let's get some of this in the glass. And at 4 weeks, the mystery continues. Again, just to recap, single cask, shop bottling, hand-filled, almost 10 years old, 56.3%. Sherry and peat, so there is definitely some sherry cask. I don't know if it's full sherry or not. And it is cloudier than anything I have ever seen. It has a note that due to the non-chill filtration, it may turn cloudy when you store it in a cold place and may contain traces of cask sediment. Well, it hasn't been in a cold place, and it is still cloudy as all hell. And the idea of traces of cask sediment is almost comical given what this looks like. But in any event, there you go. The cloudy Glen Scotia. Here we go. 1 month into it. Slight peat, rich, spicy, vanilla, fruity, heavy, assertive. That funky note, as I've defined it over the last few weeks, chewed children's vitamin mixed with shoe polish. It has receded a bit more still. I didn't notice a big difference between week 2 and week 3, but I will say it seems to have receded a bit more because I'm not squinting in disgust. Right now, it smells like a rich, bold, heavy scotch with sherry, vanilla, sweet, and a bit of funk. Here we go. Hang on. You know what, y'all? We might be in the clear. I'm not kidding. That note has dissipated significantly. I'm not actually picking it up that much at all. What I'm getting now is, of course, a bit of that Dunnage warehouse funk, which, again, I expect from a Glen Scotia, especially a hand-filled Campbelltown whiskey. I expect that. It has the sharpness, the overpoweringness of that ridiculously crazy note that I've been explaining for the last few weeks. It is still there. I'm getting it a little bit, but it seems to have dissipated significantly over the last week. So much so that I dare say this is actually getting to the point of enjoyable. It is rich, heavy, sherry, spiciness, complexity, heavy mouthfeel. It's still there a bit on the back end. So like when I breathe, it's still there a bit. But dare I say, fingers crossed, we may be approaching something. This is the thing that's going to annoy me about this. If they actually send me packaging, by the way, remember I told you Glen Scotia immediately was willing to have me send them the bottle back. But when they found out I lived in the U.S. and bought it from somebody else, they've gotten a lot more. They have not responded to me saying, will you let me ship it from the U.S.? So it's still there on the finish, but it's not there on the nose as much anymore. So this is with a little bit of water. Okay. There it is a bit. I will say it has diminished a bit, but it's still there. So as I've said to everybody here, once this coronavirus thing is over, I'm going to bottle up and send samples of this. Assuming Glen Scotia doesn't make me send it to you, I'm going to bottle up and sample this to a few of you for sure, so you guys can kind of experience this. It's still there. It's diminished a bit. It's mostly there on the finish and at the end of the finish, which is what kind of ruins the whole experience, because you think you've just drank a nice whiskey and then you start breathing in and out and the finish is like filled with this whack note. But it has taken a few steps back. Now, since I've been, of course, accommodating myself to this over the last weeks, y'all might pick this up even more so than I do. Partially this could be, but like I said, I'm not touching this during the week, so I'm trying to be as accurate as I can. There is good whiskey in here, but my God, I don't know what it is that is potentially holding this back from being there. So after a month, I will say this has gotten better. We might be in the clear. Next week, of course, we'll check up on it again. We'll see what 5 weeks of oxidization does to this. I might let it sit out for another 24, maybe even 48 hours this time with no cork, just so we can document the amount of oxidization I'm giving this. I mean, I'm going to have to go back. I mean, if you go back to the first video I did when I opened this, the look on my face after that initial sip versus how it is sitting with me now might mean that we're moving in the right direction, but that's where we are. All right. So I'll keep you posted next week if the good people of Glen Scotia decide to get back to me on this. As I said, she was responding pretty much every other day, and now it's been 5 days. So I'm not entirely sure if they're looking into who's selling this whiskey or are not quite sure what to tell me. They have not, as I said, not commented on the obscene cloudiness of this whiskey, nor have they made any overtures of just trying to like, hey man, here's 30% off a bottle. We'll send you a bottle of this Glen Scotia. Have a good day. Nothing so far. So I'll keep you posted on what I hear. And that's a wrap for this week's Mr. Cloudy Glen Scotia update. I am going to check out. I know I'm going to catch up here on the chat. I know. I know some folks got some great comments on this one. The tale of the cloudy spiritus. Yeah, indeed, my friend. Indeed. You think she would have let you know she was going on a break? An update would be nice. So, like, we're looking. Yeah, I totally with you on that. I'm totally with that. Like I said, I actually wasn't planning on reaching out, and I think 2 weeks ago, I mean, a lot of you folks said, like, dude, just write to them. Like, why wouldn't you just ask and see what you can find out? So I'm glad I took the initiative, but now I'm like a little bit not sure why they are being so quiet all of a sudden, considering, I like Glen Scotia stuff a lot. So we'll see. That's real Scotch mist. Yeah, Mark. I mean, this is Scotch mist if there ever was one. Pretend you're on a pirate ship with nothing else to drink. Oh, Mark, you're great, man. That's so funny. When making mead, you can use a process called cold crashing. Let's set them into the fall of the bottom container, the fermenting of the mead. I wonder if you put it in the fridge for a week, it would change it. Oh, interesting. So it does say that, like, putting it in cold would actually make it cloudier, but I don't know. Should I, y'all? Maybe we should just throw it in the fridge, see what happens. Why not at this point? Yeah, try using a coffee filter. I thought about that, but, maybe I'm going to wait and see if I hear anything back from them, because they still might ask me to send this. And if I start messing around too much, I'm going to have like a quarter of a bottle left by the time that happens. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, very possible. Very possible. Interesting. Okay. Cool. Yeah. It's very possible. I don't know, right? I mean, I'm not going to let this just slide. I'm definitely going to at least, try to get them to just say this is what it's supposed to be, or take some type of action. Because it may well be, as I've told you, I have never had a hand-filled distillery bottle from a Campbelltown distillery that has a kind of a funky style like Glen Scotia. It is very possible that this note is just part and parcel to what it is, and I'm not familiar with it, but I'm telling you, it is so off from anything I've ever had that it seemed worth at least inquiring about. So I appreciate y'all's encouragement on that, and we'll see what happens. Ben's saying hi to Ben. Hey, Jack, what's up? Nice to see you. What would Glen Scotia do if they got a hold of it? Fourth distillation. Yeah, right. Looks like Whiskey Pilgrim signed off. Cheers, Whiskey. Good to see you tonight. Seriously, find somebody who works in small water testing down and have them tested. I mean, I haven't went blind yet, so at least we got that going for us. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it goes from here. I'm going to keep you guys posted, though. We'll check it out again next week. I may do some stuff this week. I'll leave it out open longer. Maybe I'll throw it in the fridge as somebody suggested. Maybe I'll, run it over with my car a few times, throw it in the Schuylkill River, downtown Philly. I don't know. We'll figure out something. We'll see what happens. Whoa. Kinky. Test, not rest. Oh, rest. Oh, okay. I see it. Yeah, we might have to. As I said, I'm gonna give Glen Scotia one more week. So next week I'll let you know what the resolution is with them. I'm wondering if she thinks I'm just not going to reply anymore, and we'll figure it out. As I said, though, I am going to at least bottle up a few samples of this. I know there are a few folks who have said I will send some to. Maybe y'all tell me I'm crazy, or you're going to be like, hey, what the hell's the matter with you? Looks like Don Holland is in the house too. Right on. Cheers. What's up, Don? Anyways, we are closing in on the 9 o'clock hour, which means in about 10, 15 minutes, it'll be time for the Telex and Malt Show. So this week, Telex is going to be checking out Blair Athol. If you didn't catch that earlier, I've never had any Blair Athol. If you have, do join the chat. Let us know what your opinions are on it. I'm going to be there to learn. If you've never heard of Blair Athol, this will be a good opportunity to learn about a new distillery, as Telex will be giving us the rundown on, I believe, Let me just take a look at what he sent me. Yeah, I'm not sure actually what age it is, but he's going to be doing a Blair Othel something. I don't know. We'll see. But in any event, it's been another fun week chatting with everybody. I am going to finish off this Glen Scotia, get something else as we get ready for the transition over to the show. Funky stuff. What's everybody else sipping on? Anybody got something good that they're sharing? Looks like Daniel's got Ardbeg. Oh, interesting. Ardbeg 10 has the best cork sound. Changed my mind. Really? There's a good cork sound on this Glen Scotia. Check it out. That's pretty good for something I've popped open at least 6 times. Compared to this Loch Lomond, which I just opened once. Okay, actually, that was pretty good. It didn't sound that good the first time. It didn't sound that good the first time, but in any event, I got to get back to something that's not destroying my palate. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do some more of this Glenmorangie Cadbull Estate. Anyways, yeah, cork sound, I don't know. It seems a little bit on the hit or miss side. I'd be curious if any of you guys have ever opened anything where the cork broke. I've had 2 experiences with that in my day. Once was with a bottle of Wild Turkey Rare Breed. The other was Anok 12, where literally the cork just broke into 2 pieces. I had to pull it out. Of course, that means like a bunch of pieces of cork end up in your whiskey, which is god freaking annoying. It didn't ruin the whiskey per se. In the case of the in the Rare Breed, it did. But I don't know. Have any of you all had this happen to you before? Emily is cracking me up. It's been fun hanging out with you for the last couple of weeks, Emily. Cheers. Glad you joined us. That's too funny. Another great show. Cheers, Mark. Always, man. Always fun to hang out with you. Mark's got some Glenmorangie 10 Original. Oh, nice. That's a good pour. But yeah, I'd be curious if any of you guys, do you keep extra corks around just for the case where you open something and it pops? Because, man, that is so damn annoying. It's only happened to me twice, but it would really piss me off if it was on an expensive bottle. Don Holland, Glengoyne 10 tonight. First dram in 5 days. Oh, man, I like the Glengoyne 10 quite a bit, man. Good to see you, Don. Hope you're well, buddy. Buffalo Trace cork broke on me, says Daniel, so he does keep some extra corks. Andrew Page, Hazelburn 13. Dude, Hazelburn 13 is amazing. I think I reviewed that, close to a year and a half ago. That's honestly one of my favorite sherry whiskeys I've ever had. I know there's a 14-year-old Hazelburn sherry out now, which I've actually heard from some folks might not be as good as the 13, but I would love to try it. I love Hazelburn 13. If any of y'all see it, especially if you get it, it's like around $100. It's a Springbank product, non-chill, natural color, 46%, all Oloroso sherry finish. Fantastic sherry bottle. Fantastic stuff. Happened to me a few times with. Really? You had it happen on Rare Breed as well? No kidding. Huh. Oh, you're talking about the Glen Scotia. Yeah, I got you. That's funny. Yeah. Man, Whiskey Al, that's ridiculous. It was my first bottle of the Rare Breed, and I opened it. It shattered. It not only fell apart, it fell into the whiskey. So I had a whole bunch of stuff floating in it. The one on the Anok 12 that I opened, it didn't. It wasn't like disintegrated. It actually just broke in half, and so I had to, corkscrew it out. Again, really annoying. So I've taken to actually keeping some of the composite corks. You get some of these whiskeys that just have those composite corks, which, of course you like the real cork, but the composite corks don't really, they don't break in half, and like, who really cares? I don't know. Maybe folks got opinions on this, but I've been taking to keeping a couple around because shit, like if you open something good and you don't have another cork to put in it, like you're SOL. Especially, man, I would piss me off if it was something aged. If anybody here has had something like really expensive have a cork break, I'd love to hear about it. So last week, as I told you guys, I meant to mention this. So I started my Infinity bottle. I've added a few things since then, including some of the Ardbeg Drum Committee release. So I have a little rum peated in it. I think as of now, I got 7 whiskeys in it. I'm doing a peated, for folks who weren't able to hang out last week, I am doing a peated Infinity bottle. First one I've ever done. Infinity bottle, that is, not peated Infinity bottle. And the things that I got in it, I can give you the rundown of what I actually have in it as of this week. So I've added quite a few things because I had a couple bottles of them. So far my Infinity bottle is Ardbeg Wee Beastie, Lafroig Lore, Lafroig 15, Lagavulin 12 Cask Strength, Lechag 10, Kilhoman Lochgorm 2019, Port Charlotte 10, Kalila 11-year-old Cask Strength, which is like an independent bottling of Berry Brothers and Rudd, and Ardbeg Drum. So I got a whole bunch of stuff. It's almost like a quarter filled already. So it's been fun. And I think it'll probably take me to the end of the year, depending on how many peated bottles I buy, but I'm going to keep adding to it. And I've decided I'm not going to just do Isla. I think I'm just going to kind of do whatever. But thanks for everybody who gave me advice on that last week. It's super cool to learn about. I didn't know really much about Infinity bottles, so that was a lot of fun to kind of dabble in and get set up with. And I'm using this Hibiki Japanese Harmony bottle, so that'll be a lot of fun. Jack's got a bottle tonight, Stranahan Sherry. Is that the Colorado whiskey? I've heard a lot of good things about this. I've actually never had any of those. I know there's one called like the Diamond Peak. I don't know if that's the one or not. But I've not had any of those before. Ben Demon Hunter. What's up, Ben? I've been seeing you, buddy. Been in and out of the chat trying to get my cell phone recharged. Let's see. Oh, okay. I'm glad you could join us for any time you could, Ben. Always good to see you, my friend. Emily Chambers. Always keep corks. It's super annoying. One was turkey once. Scotch, I don't remember. It happened to me more with wine, and I still buy turkey. So you had it happen with wild turkey as well. So that's 3 people that have had wild turkey corks break on them. I don't know. What are they doing? Like using less quality? I don't know. But yeah, smart, Emily. I'm definitely going to do that. I'm just, like I said, I'm starting to keep some of the composite stuff around. Just so I have some backups. I mean, that seems like the best way to ensure this. But yeah, really annoying. Wow, I am interested though. It's interesting that this has happened with wild turkey bottles 3 times. What? You, me, Whiskey Straight Al. What's up, Wild Turkey? You're one of my favorite bourbon distilleries, man. What is it with you and your bad corks? Daniel speaks truth. If you do it right, you never run out. Oh, man, Daniel, you're great, man. It's good to see you again, buddy. Always fun to chat with you on a Tuesday. Yeah, totally. Too Slow, what's up, buddy? Nice to see you. Glad you could join us. How's that bottle, Pickletown? Nice to see you, Too Slow. I always turn the bottle upside down, wet the cork, and then open. It hasn't happened since. Oh, interesting. How often do you do that? So I've heard this, like, there's some wisdom behind the idea of, especially bottles you've had open for a while, that you should kind of like flip them upside down for, I don't know, what it's like 30 seconds every month or so, just to like wet the cork. Be curious if anybody else is doing that. I've not, but I'll be honest, having had a couple scares with corks, there are a few bottles that I have open that I've gassed and I'm just leaving because I don't want to finish them. I'm kind of saving them for special occasions. I have a Ball Blair 90, Brooklotti Black Art 4.1, a log of Lafroig 25. These are all whiskeys that I cracked open, but I'm not just sitting around drinking those every day. I mean, those are expensive bottles for someone like me. And so I try to save those for special occasions, but I do worry about the cork breaking and it ruining the whiskey. Maybe that's the way to do it. I'd be curious if folks got any opinions on that. How often do you do that, Al? Are you doing that like every month, every couple months? Do you keep trying to track of it? I mean, you got to protect your investments to some degree, right? Be curious to hear more about that. Too slow. Good to see you, man. This Cadwell Estate is not bad. As I was mentioning about this at the beginning of the show, this is just one of those that I feel like is, despite their whole marketing angle about this local barley thing, I just don't think it's significantly great. This would be fun to compare against the 18. I just don't think it's significantly, interesting or better than anything else that they've done of their core range. And honestly, for like $80, it just seems a little expensive, despite being a 15-year-old. All X bourbon. I wonder if this is first fill because the bourbon notes on this are pretty heavy. But yeah, I don't know. Anybody else had this? I know we've had some new folks join. If you had, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Cadwell Estate. I'm going to get a little bit more of this in the glass. So, as I mentioned to you, we're going to be doing Chat and Blair Athol with Telex, the whiskey tech. He is going to be doing a 12-year-old Blair Athol. So I don't know if any of y'all have had that before. It's another one of these Flora and Fauna bottles, which is a Diageo, this kind of series, I guess. I've never had any of them, but he's into it. So we'll see what's up. Last week it was Ben Riek, or Ben Romick. I'm not sure. These days all seem to be the same. We'll see. Here's Al. Can't remember where I got the advice, but it seemed to work. I do it generally if I haven't gone to a bottle in a couple. Oh, so you're doing like a couple weeks. Okay, that's not a bad idea. I turn bottles upside down every now and then, but I don't keep the bottles open for very long. And I sometimes use smaller bottles for stuff I want to save. Ooh, that's smart. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't have a lot of stuff I keep open very long. There are just a couple of those special bottles, like what I mentioned, this Lafroig 25, the Bruichladdich Black Art 4.1. I think I've had open over a year. I gas it, but I haven't done anything else. The Ball Blair 90, that's another one that I've got open. There might be a few others. I mean, this drum, which I'm going to probably have a sip of later tonight. I mean, this shows you how much I love the Ardbeg drum committee release. I mean, this is a year old, at least. I hardly drank any of this. Look at this. I mean, that's how much I love the drum. It's maybe a third of the way done, maybe a little more than a third. I haven't had a sip of this in like 4 months. So I'm going to pour a little bit tonight and see. I don't know. This just wasn't great, in my opinion. But we'll check it out. Sometimes things get better. Beverly turns a wild turkey. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I actually, to your point, I did the Bourbon Trail just about a year ago this time. I went to Wild Turkey, and I bought a bottle of Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit, which is their single barrel. And it was a barrel pick specifically by Jimmy Russell. Eddie Russell or Jimmy Russell? It was Eddie Russell. Jimmy Russell. So it's an Eddie Russell pick. It's an Eddie Russell distillery pick of their Kentucky Spirit. And I haven't opened it. It's been a year, and I'm thinking to myself, like, considering I'm not the only one who's had Wild Turkey issues with corks, I might actually have to go flip that thing upside down, because when I finally open that, I'm going to be really upset if that cork breaks, because I bet you that's a really fun pick. Yes. Yeah, that's the committee release drum. This is the 2019 Ardbeg committee release, the drum, the rum cask, 52% ABV. Not amazing. Avoid it. Don't spend over $100 on it, for sure. Jack said, love the patriotic malts, even if you're overpaying for average whiskeys. Yeah. My whiskeys are Al, you're the best, man. By the way, y'all, if you haven't, go check out Whiskey Straight Al's channel. He's got some great reviews. Totally straight up cool guy. Check it out. Oh, man, my old buddy Whiskey Ace. What's up, man? Long time no see. Awesome to see you here on Happy Hour, buddy. I got to raise a glass to you, my friend. It's been a while. How you been? What's good? You staying safe? Great to see you, man. Great to see you. Ace and I have been chatting about whiskey for a couple of years now. So cool to see you, my friend. Ben Demon, if I could ever find Ardbeg drug and had the money, I wouldn't mind picking up a bottle. How are any Scots with rum cask influences? Brother had Balvenie 14. Okay. I like the Balvenie Caribbean cask, whatever you want to say. There's also a Springbank just recently did one, but it's like $180 US. They did like a 15-year, 16-year rum cask finish. And then the Ardbeg drum. That's the extent of the scotches I've had that are rum cask. And I would say the Balvenie, yes. The Ardbeg, no. I mean, definitely don't overpay for the committee release, which will be like $200. I've actually heard that the regular release of it might actually be better, which is at like 46%. So maybe keep your eyes on that. It's not that it doesn't work. It's just not that good. But I don't think that analysis extends to every rum finished scotch. I've just not had enough of them to really tell you. I think the Balvenie Caribbean cask is really good. Especially it's like a $65 to $75 bottle, 14-year. That was actually one of the first reviews I did on my channel, and I was a fan of that. So, personally, I do like rum. I'm kind of just getting into it. And so rum finished whiskeys are like, fine, but why not just drink regular rum? I have had a Canadian, and Ben, you've probably had this. I've had a Canadian Pike Creek rum finish. It's like a 10-year-old. I don't know if anybody in the chat has had that. That's a pretty solid one. I don't know. Rum finish isn't really my favorite thing, but you know that this is the sign of where things are going. I guarantee you in the next 2 to 3 years, Ardbeg or Lafroig, anybody who does like an annual release special edition whiskey is going to do a tequila cask. It's coming. Or you can already see the Ardbeg tequila cask committee release. They're honestly, there's only so many things they can really do. Throw a tequila cask finish on it. It wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens. Didn't Telex do a rum cast? Now? Yeah, he did. It was the Springbank. He liked it quite a bit. I mean, there's not a lot of bad Springbanks, but yeah, he did do one. We can actually check on it when he goes live, which should be relatively soon here. Yeah. All right. So Telex is live. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. It has been a lot of fun chatting with you guys again this week. Check out the chat. I dropped the link in. Feel free to head over. We're going to be chatting Blair Athol. He's going to give us his 2 cents on the 12-year-old flora and fauna. I'm going to head over there in just a few minutes here and learn a bit about Blair Athol, continuing our Tuesday Booze Day and chat whiskey with my good friend Telex. So, hey, y'all. It's been super fun. I appreciate all the support. As always, you all are too much fun to chat about. I learned about Tormore tonight. We talked about all sorts of stuff. Hey, man, this is what keeps it fun. Love the community. Love you guys. Stay safe. I'll raise a glass to you, and I'll catch you in about a few minutes over on Telex's channel. Link is in the chat, so feel free to grab that, man. Sláinte, friends. See you then.